Hi, it's Mark from Top Local Lead Generation. We're here with Bernie Pawlik of the famous Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's best auto service experience. How you doing, Bernie?
Doing very well, Mark.
So we're going to talk about a Mercedes 2007, fairly recent, only 9 years old. Not quite an old car yet. A CLK320. What's this A-level service that we're going to talk about?
Well, yeah, so this is a nice convertible Mercedes. As you mentioned, it's 9 years old, but really, to me, it's not old. It looks like a new car and drives like a new car. This is a very low mileage car. So the A service is basically Mercedes' basic maintenance service. And Mercedes has different levels of service, but A is basically the starting point.
Okay, so how often does an A service have to be done?
You generally every 12 to 15,000 kilometers. There's a reminder on the vehicle that will come up that will tell you it's due for an A service or a B, or sometimes there's a C and D. Different Mercedes they have different things, but generally every 12 to 15,000 kilometers is the service interval on this vehicle.
So, what the other service levels? I guess what other maintenance services need to be done on Mercs?
Well, generally, and I didn't explain actually. An A service is basically is basically an oil change along with a maintenance inspection. So with that service, we would look at the fluid levels, adjust the tire pressures, check the lights, wiper blades, visual under hood and under car inspection is what we do. It's not generally a wheel off brake inspection, and that's when we get into the B service, which is a more thorough service, and that's done every second time. So as far as other maintenance services for Mercedes, there are fluids that need to be changed from time to time, and spark plugs, of course. Not very often though, but the A service is the most common.
So is there other additional items that are required in an A service?
Generally not, but air filters, we do look at, so they may need to be replaced. The cabin air filter also is not difficult to inspect, so depending on the mileage, that may need to be replaced. And on Mercedes, also, the brake fluid generally needs to be flushed every 2 to 3 years. So that's something we would look at. So those might be additional items, but again, we just evaluate it during the A service.
So why would brake fluid need to be flushed?
Brake fluid absorbs water out of the air. It's called a hygroscopic fluid, and it'll absorb water out of the air. It'll somehow, I don't know, it's kind of magical, but it seeps into places, like it'll just seep in through plastic parts and metal and hoses, and somehow it gets into your brake system. We have a tester where you can test the water content of the brake fluid. Yeah, generally it seeps in. So European manufacturers are really big on flushing brake fluid. I guess, the Northern European climate, where a lot of Mercedes and German vehicles come from, it's a rainy type of climate, so moisture gets in. They're concerned about that kind of thing, whereas a lot of other manufacturers are not, and they should be. But yeah, that's why brake fluid needs to be flushed. And the more water that's in the brake fluid, the lower the boiling point goes. And it's amazing if you ever look at a chart. It's kind of scary when you get up to 4%. The boiling point drops by 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or maybe it's even 150. It's quite a lot. So, if you're going down a really steep hill and you need to put your brakes on a lot, you could actually lose them if there's too much water in the brake fluid.
And that is definitely a scary thing. If you've ever had that happen, it is, you press on the pedal and nothing happens, and it is not good.
I've actually experienced it. I had a Subaru that we got the brakes kind of cooking hot. We didn't quite lose them, but it was hard to stop the car, and so I've noticed it, but it doesn't happen too often. Got a couple photos to share of this car. If we have a minute here to look, we can get the technology going again. There we go.
You can see it.
Excellent. Yes. So there's our 2007 nice Mercedes convertible, and
gone
again. Oh, fabulous. All right. Well, give it one more kick. Doesn't seem to like it when I enlarge the picture. So let's try this again. You see the car?
Oh, we got a block. There it is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there's our Mercedes, and there's a view of the engine compartment. Not a lot to see other than those nice plastic covers that hide all the little details, but a simple clip and removal, and the engine is visible underneath. It's a V6 in this car. It's a 3.2 liter V6. You usually tell a Mercedes what size engine it has by the name of the car. CLK320. It's a 3.2 liter engine. So we'll leave here. We're back.
So as a Mercedes owner, can I count on the dash reminder system?
Yeah, they're actually quite reliable. The dash reminder, so this is the reminder that comes on and tells you A service due, visit workshop, or B service. It's quite reliable, and I like it more than some other cars like BMWs that have 24,000 kilometer oil change intervals. Mercedes are more like around the 15 range, which I think is really reasonable. And they all use the same kind of oil, although BMW's specification is different than Mercedes. I mean, we use the same oil. They're all meant for the same specifications. But by the time you hit 24,000 kilometers, it's pretty ugly. But 15, the oil still has some life left in it, which is what you want. You don't want to change really bad oil. So yeah, you can count on it. And the other thing, it also has a timer as well. So say you only drive 5,000 kilometers a year, it'll remind you after a year or so, or maybe a little longer, you should change your oil because it's getting old. So yeah, I would count on it. It's good.
Any final thoughts about Mercedes and servicing?
I just say, final thoughts is change your oil. We've got another Mercedes diesel in our shop where someone has gone 20,000 kilometers beyond the oil change interval and blown their engine, and it's another over $20,000 bill. Actually, this one, the turbocharger's wiped out too, so it's going to add even more money. So oil changes on Mercedes aren't cheap, but engines are way, way, way more expensive. So follow the reminders on your dash. They make it easy.
So, cautionary tale, make sure you follow your reminders on your Mercedes, and if you need service for it, the guys to call in Vancouver are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112. Book your appointments. They're busy, smoking busy, because they're popular. They do a great job. And check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com. Thanks, Bernie.
Thank you, Mark.